We have another citizens presentation by the Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services in regards to giant African land snail eradication program.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. Clerk has a packet for you. He's distributing right now. It has some information on the giant African land snail. My name is Bill Torres. I'm with the Florida Department of Agriculture. I'm the program director for the giant African land snail program here in South Florida. I brought a little sample of what our little giant African land snails can grow to be. And today we've collected out of Dade County in South Broward 156,000 snails. The giant African land snail, or galls as we refer to it, is an invasive agricultural pest, and it poses significant threats to our natural resources as well as our agricultural industry and our products here in Dade County and in South Florida. Invasive species usually are a pest. Not all of them are, but those that are invasive and overtake the natural areas become pests because we don't have the tools and the techniques to battle these, and they have no natural enemies, so they start multiplying very quickly. With the giant African land snail, it affects our agriculture and could lead to quarantine our agricultural products, which would implicate an effect on our trade. Florida is particularly susceptible to invasive species because of its geographical location, its unique climate, the amount of diversity of crops that we have, and the amount of trade that goes through our airports and through our ports. The giant African land snail, or galls, as I mentioned, is on the top 100 list of invasive species in the world. As I mentioned, it affects our landscapes and our natural resources and our agriculture. It also poses a health risk, which I'll talk a little bit later. South Florida caters to the snails because the stucco on the homes offers it a calcium source for their shells to grow to that size. They reproduce very quickly. They're hermaphrodites, so they don't need a partner to fertilize the eggs. Our eradication program started back in September 2011 when we first found the first sighting of the snails. A homeowner noticed that they had hundreds of these snails crawling on their property. They contacted one of our inspectors and asked to identify what snail this was, and we found that it was the giant African land snail, which immediately caused the Department of Agriculture and the USDA to put together an emergency response program to determine how far the extent of the snail was in Dade County. The eradication program has been successful, I'm happy to say, due to the input and the cooperation of the citizens of Dade County. Through our efforts of public outreach, the message has gotten out that this is a problem, and the citizens have responded and contacted us. And right now we have 29 cores in South Florida that as a result of the citizens contacting us and letting us know that these snails are here, and we go out and check and have verified. Our program has been established, like I said, since September 2011. We have 50 staff members dedicated to the program full-time. We currently have 29 cores, as I mentioned. 28 of the cores are in Dade County. One is in South Broward County. We've picked up 669 positive properties have been identified, and we have collected over 156,000 snails to date. Our teams survey and treat over 3,000 properties in South Florida. Our highest area of concentration of the galls is in Little Haiti. That was the second core that we identified. We have 130 positive properties in that area and picked up over close to 49,000 snails in Little Haiti. Our approach to dealing with this giant African land snails is boots on the ground. We have to have inspectors out there surveying these properties and preparing the properties to be treated with the EPA-approved product that you can buy at any garden center, and is very effective and has an attractant that causes the snail to eat it and affects its ability to create mucus. We've also incorporated a debris team that has gone in and picked up over 1.3 million pounds of debris and vegetation in Dade County. And there's a before and after picture of an alleyway in one of the cores where we removed the habitat for the snail as well as places where it can hide. We also keep a lab that collects all the snails on a daily basis, measures them, determines what size they are, whether it was alive, whether it was dead, and we freeze them, and that's how we kill them. We've also incorporated a canine team. We have 2 dogs here that have been trained specifically to sniff out live giant African land snails. They don't sniff out dead snails. They don't sniff out Cuban snails. It's just the live giant African land snails. They don't sniff out the feces. They don't sniff out the slime. It's just a live snail. And that's what they've been trained to, and it's been successful so far. We also have a lot of science involved in this program. We've contacted members from around the world that have been involved with giant African land snail issues. We've met on several times over the last 3 years. We also maintain a lab in Gainesville at our division office where they're doing studies on coming up with different ways of attracting them, bringing them up out of the soil, and and possibly some sort of biological control. As I mentioned, the public outreach has been very successful with this program. We've done billboards, bus benches, we've knocked on doors, we've put at the movie theaters, we have little trailers in there that talks about giant African land snail for people to report them. We've had reporters from all over the country come and do reports and just reports on and to kind of promote the concern of the giant African land snail and how bad it can be. Our public outreach, we continue to do trade shows, schools, fairs, and to get that word out. Our commissioner has been very supportive. He comes down every year, and especially every our anniversary, which creates a lot of interest in snail, and to show the progress we have done so far in the program.
Dr. Torres, I'm sorry. How much more time?
I have just about 30 seconds.
Very good.
Okay.
Right.
And like I said, we've done advertising in the papers and billboards. And one last thing, the health risk involved in this is the rat lungworm, which can cause meningitis if people touch it. So where we're at, we've had a couple of setbacks, but we have the skills to get through this and get the areas under control very quickly. So we appreciate the support of the citizens and for letting us know, and we ask they can continue letting us know so we can combat this. But we are very close to eradicating this thing within the next few years. Any questions?
Thank you so very much. Commissioner Cava has a question.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your presentation,
My pleasure.
and it's obviously a big problem, and it's very wonderful to hear that we've been successful. And I know you hire a lot of people to assist. Are you currently hiring for people in this project?
We're in the process of hiring a new team. We maintain 50. We're looking to hire a new team that's going to be doing night surveys. So we ask, again, the cooperation of citizens to let us in there to check and see, because they're nocturnal animals, and that's the best time to...
So if someone is interested to find out about a job with
Yes.
you, how would they go about that?
One stop down in the Kendall South area. They're the ones that will be taking the
So
applications. They have
Career
been
Source
advertised.
South Florida's one-stop center
Yes.
in the Kendall area
Yes, ma'am.
is handling the applications.
Yes,
Thank
ma'am.
you so very much.
My pleasure. Anyone else?
Are you able to quantify as a percentage what area has been covered and what is left to be covered?
We have an extensive database. It tells us which properties we've been on, which areas we've been in surveyed. We keep that on record all the time. We're fortunate to say that our mortality rate is maintained around 99%. The number of snails that we're finding are small neonates. The ones that are producing fertile eggs are pretty much out of the picture. We occasionally find, like a new area last week, we found a new area, we found large ones. We only found 12, and within a couple of weeks, we'll have that completely under control.
Very good. Thank you, Doctor, and
My
thank you
pleasure.
for being proactive on that issue.
All right, thank you very
so
much.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.